Once again, welcome to another episode of WYN. Well, we want to know what's your name? What is the impression you will make? What is the stance you will take? Let's see how things have been shaping up in the news recently. Well, we know Coach Prime, Deion Sanders, took on a job at the Colorado University. And in that particular university has not seen much success in the last 20 years. However, Prime has been able to turn programs around, such as the Jackson State University football Tigers, and bring them home to SWAC championship. Now, there's been some things going on in the news that people have they feel some kind of way about the transition, the changing of positions, if you will. And I've heard many things, and I'm just going to share a few things that I have not heard. So on this particular episode, we're just talking about Coach Prime, because that's his name. Deion Sanders was his birth name given from his mama, made a name for himself, Prime Time. And now that he's no longer in an athlete, but he's in the coaching position, Coach Prime is what they call him. So we know we like to talk about the names on this particular show. And one thing about it, he's etched himself in history and done way more, infinitely more for HBCUs and some have done in those short 3 years that some people have not been able to accomplish in more time. Now, one thing about it, 3 years. He was only there for 3 years at Jackson State. And I'm glad he came. I'm glad he did what he did. And I'm glad he left the way he did. Because one thing about it is sometimes these coaches, they just up and leave. They don't say anything. They don't give anybody any explanations, any feedback, whatever promises they made. That was just what they said. And that was in the past. And now they are out of there. So I do like the video that coverage you see. And one thing about it, he's really transparent. I like how he's utilizing social media to tap into the youth of today. And I think that is a driving factor in how he's able to really rally and recruit some of these big names and get their attention to come to him. That's something that these other schools just ain't doing. They don't have a handle on that just yet. Either they just can't do it or they just don't see it. And we're going to talk about a school that just didn't see it shortly. So first off, I got a few things that I'm just going to think about for a moment as I gather my thoughts, because I want to be clear and precise in what I'm saying, because this is important. So we'll just start from the beginning. So he went to Jackson State, stayed there 3 years. He was able to win back-to-back SWAC championships. So 3 years, 2 championships, back-to-back, had an undefeated season this past year. They have one more game to play. And then he was presented a prime opportunity. And he took that opportunity. So it is what it is, because I mean, he was able to get Under Armour, he was able to get Walmart, he was able to get a lot of people's attention, a lot of eyes, and a lot of interest, and a lot of engagement in that particular program, in that particular university, in that particular city of Jackson, Mississippi. And we know there's a number of things that are going on with Jackson, and he was able to get them some assistance and do what he could do. And one thing about it is, in the words of the, I believe it was the mayor, he was talking about how your appreciation should not be outweighed by your expectation. If your expectations outweigh your appreciation, you got things mixed up. So everything he did, he didn't have to do. He could have tried to wait and go somewhere else and jumpstart his career, but he decided to go to Jackson State, and it was a mutual agreement. Jackson State offered him a position, and he willingly, openly accepted that position. You know, he took on all the challenges and everything that came with taking a position at an HBCU in Jackson, Mississippi, because a couple of things that took place while he was down there. I can remember when he first got down there, somebody like broke in his car and stole a boom box. He ended up getting it back, but it was just the fact that, hey man, this this Coach Prime, but you know what? They just showed you that, hey, we don't care nothing about that celebrity. They will take your stuff too, no matter who you are, you know. Something else that took place, I read about a couple times the son's car being burglarized. Um, One thing that I just saw that I forgot about was how when they were at the game, they won the game and somebody broke into the locker room and stole credit cards, phones, stole possessions. Luckily, he had his chain on, but and they didn't get his chain, but just things like that he had put up with, but we didn't really. You may have heard about it if you were following me closely, but we didn't really get that attention, that negative attention, focusing on that because he had a mission. You know, he was able to improve their facilities. You know, he was able to get underarm. He was able to get them uniforms. He was able to reach out to Michael Strahan and get suits for the guys. I mean, so they could really look like a professional team. You know, a group of professional young men. You know, that carry themselves as professionals. They took pride in what they do and what they were and how they performed or whatever. So it was a lot of growth. And I mean, he really um impacted lives and doing things in the nature that he did it. And one thing about it is the way he showed what was going on in his locker room. I think a lot of coaches are afraid to do that. You know, they just would not do something like that. And his, the way he communicated with the kids, his theme music, bringing the artists, the stars out, just really having that having just a it was just something amazing to witness if you followed it along the way. And one thing I can say is that I'm glad he came. I'm glad he did what he did, and he took the time to do it because he could have been Hollywood or whatever and not really gave a darn in his some of his words, but he gave a darn. He went out and he put together a quality program that you just can't help but be proud of. But one thing about it is, things may not always last as long as we would like for them to last, but it happened. It took place. He did his job and he had to move on because sometimes things are just short lived. Sometimes runs are one and done, two and through, you know what I mean? Three and they run free. But one thing about this is he was able to put in his time, make his contribution, and made an impact that I don't think anybody could follow. It's only one prime. He's the prime example of that. Is only one prime time. Deion Sanders. It's only one coach prime, man. That's gonna be a hard act to follow. Some big shoes to fill, but feel like Jackson State will be okay. It may take them a few years. I feel like it's gonna decline a little bit because, like I said, it's only one coach prime, but they will actually rebound and do some great things. But they know that the ball is in their court. He's giving them the roadmap. He's giving them the blueprint. He's giving them everything they need to sustain a level of success. And they definitely need to help. They need him to be also consulted in the next coach that's going to take on that particular position. Because you just don't want to give that over to just anybody that's going to just, undo everything or try and just come in and just tear it apart. You want somebody that's going to be able to come in and keep the momentum going. Definitely, man. So hats off to Coach Prime. Now, Colorado. I'm not quite 48. I'm almost 40, but one thing about it, the Colorado University, I know of them, but I don't know much about them as it relates to football. But I do know that Colorado is a great state, a beautiful state. It's a cold state too. Boulder is outside of Denver. I believe it's like northwest of Denver. And just looking at I've been to Denver before, and I know it's a beautiful city. The weather can get cold, but the weather is nice. You have warm summers and things of that nature, and it's a lovely place. But Colorado University has a very nice facility, so that's something that Dion can be readily ready to utilize, and they have some resources and things that um, Jackson State just didn't have. However, Jackson State does have the weather, better weather than Colorado, and I do feel like the location of Jackson State was was better suited to attract kids to go to because you got Tennessee just above it, Memphis. You know what I mean? You got Louisiana just next to it, New Orleans and whatnot. Um, and a few, not a little bit down the road, you got Texas over there, and you also next to it, you got Birmingham and some things doing Birmingham. Go see some stuff in Mobile. Then you got Florida. That's a cool little spot to be in to attract some people to have some stuff to do as well as to and it's a few things to do in Jackson. I'm not even gonna sleep on Jackson like that. You can find something to do. But you can skip on over a little bit further and go to Atlanta. So you're in a pretty good spot where Jackson was located. Now, Colorado, you got Denver, and then you know, it's Colorado. But what they will get with the experience of being with Coach Prime is going to be priceless, man. It's going to be priceless. Now, one thing that I know is that Coach Prime, he experienced some things that it, it, it didn't really make sense for him how to deal with this type of stuff. But hey, it happens, and sometimes people can be ungrateful for the opportunities that are presented for them, and just not even consider what you have until it's gone. You know, so even though you might feel some kind of way that it didn't last longer, it happened, and nobody can change that. Nobody can take that away from you. It happened. Now, some things that I known people to voice, and because this their experience and this is their truth, that sometimes HBCUs don't necessarily support HBCUs. The alumni don't really put in the funds, the boost, the boosters or whatever. They don't necessarily donate or put up the monies in order to keep things going or attract certain things there that will help to benefit and sustain or or enhance those particular universities. I know that some people really don't even really care about the football. They go for the band, or they go to socialize. They just go to socialize. It's not even about seeing that football team progress and improve and develop and grow. That's the least of it. It's about the social environment, the engagement, the kicking it, the having fun, and then going to see the bands, and then oh yeah, they playing football. So that's something that a lot of people need to just look at and say, hey, maybe we need to take a little bit more pride in that. I mean, you won't improve unless you attract them somehow, some way to make things better. So now I'm hoping that JSU can kind of carry on that momentum and bring in the right coach and continue to bring in the right players, and they could maybe three-peat. Who knows? But we'll see. But Colorado went 1-11 last year. Now he's coming in and he's trying to do some heavy lifting, and I believe he's going to do just that. And one thing about it is, well, before I even speak on that, I'm going to try and look at it from both angles. I want to think about, okay, well, Colorado going 1-11, and they're in the Pac-12. Let's talk about what could happen on the negative end. Let's say Shadur gets there And Colorado, the Pac-12 is a step up from the SWAC, and his he's not able to step it up. It might go bad for him, and that could negatively impact his draft stock, and that could negatively impact his development because now he's going in trying to learn this whole new system when he pretty much had everything clicking on all running on all cylinders back in Jackson. But I feel like he's a talented young man. He's a capable young man. He's a smart young man, and he should be able to overcome that challenge. He has a challenge before him, and he has to produce. And but I do want to throw out one caveat that a guy told me. He mentioned this. He was like, rarely as well, there has not been someone that's been a GOAT, a greatest of all time in their own right in a position whose son followed and was a GOAT, or highly successful. Now, there have been some that have been professional athletes. Some of them have been even some stars to a certain degree, and their sons have come out and performed. But I can't think of anybody whose father was just like considered a prime time of a position, arguably the greatest to ever play a position, or you know what I mean? And their son comes along and is just as great or even better, So that's something to think about. Also with Colorado, it's cold, you know. I feel like the prime effect has traveled everywhere and been the prime effect from Florida State to Atlanta Falcons to San Francisco 49ers to the Dallas Cowboys to the Baltimore Ravens to the Washington Redskins to the Atlanta Braves to the Cincinnati Reds to um, I think he played for New York Yankees briefly. I'm gonna have to look that up, but Prime has been Prime everywhere he's been, and he's been that guy. He is the guy, and he has been that guy. So one thing about it, he is who he is. Yes, New York. I knew I had it right. Cincinnati Reds, Atlanta Falcons, New York Yankees. All right. Now, so let's say that kids get to Colorado and don't like it. It's just so different. It's just so cold. You know what I mean? Let's talk about that. That may be something that he's going to have to overcome. I'm sure he's already thought about that. But one thing about it, he has their attention. He has his hand on their pulse with their social media approach. That is a primary factor in him flipping some of these guys that want to go there. And I mean, the footage just speaks for itself. All the stuff that he's been able to post on YouTube and all the social media platforms, that stuff that has already had an impact and has been embedded in these kids' mind. Well, I can't even say kids, these talented young athletes, these young men that are getting ready to advance to the next phase in their college career or life. So that's big. So he has that to think about. Now, on the flip side, talking about the positive, I can already kind of segue into it. He is Prime. He is Coach Prime. He has been able to succeed everywhere he's gone. Even Prime Prep, some might say that was a bit of a failure, but wait a minute. He started a school. He had that school for a while. I remember that school came and played Central in Phoenix City, and they came out and performed. But that happened. It's a lot of people been trying to create a school and can't do it. This school's going on now that that's another story, another topic for another day. But anyway, Coach Prime, Colorado has all the resources, has the facility, has the money, and they have Coach Prime. Now, what I hope happens is Shador goes in, shows how they attract all the talent. I'm kind of hoping like wait, low key. that he get all of them. I mean, he loads up. He loads up, piles them in, and runs the table. It may not happen this year, but maybe next year. Gets in, runs the table, get a Pac-12 championship, and end up in the playoffs. Because those that doubted, those that didn't want to see it, and those that just flat out hated to see it, they got to deal with it. They can't help but to see it. And one place in particular that I'm hoping they eat some crow is that school next door, next state over from Jackson State. The orange and blue one. Yeah, the Tigers, the other Tigers. Yeah. Now, in my honest opinion, I don't think that Auburn took a serious look at Coach Deion Sanders, Coach Prime, the Hall of Famer, the GOAT at his position, the one that has been productive just a state over in a different conference, playing the same sport, but if we get it, I don't think they gave him a serious look. If they did speak to him, I don't really think they were seriously considering him, because if they wanted him, they could have gotten him. If they wanted him, they should have gotten him, because that was nothing but a prime opportunity. That was a prime opportunity. And the primary reason that I think they didn't get him is because they just didn't see how they can control. They wanted him to come in and do what they wanted to say or whatever, instead of just saying, hey, this guy is unique. This man, he is different. Let's see how we can make it work. Or let's see how it works. Because if you think about it, Jackson is not that far from Auburn. They're still in that same region. That's a prime region. Coach Sanders went to Florida State. That's that prime region. That was a prime opportunity. That is some prime real estate. He could have the whole Southeast on lock. The whole Southeast on lock. He could really turn the tide. And when I say turn the tide, I mean that, pun intended and not intended, because that could have been the shift to take the stronghold that Alabama has had on the state and the SEC. We know Georgia's taking out, it's doing their thing, it's on their run right now. But that could have really been a game changer for Auburn. And it's almost like the way it worked out, it's kind of like he could have been a thorn before. If it would have worked out that way, he could have been a thorn in Saban's side. He could have been in Saban's mind, on his head, in his nightmares, in his dreams, seeing him everywhere. Them Affleck commercials would have, oh man. But it's almost like him and Saban were like, you know what? You can't be on my block. This what we gonna do. If we gonna do it, if we gonna be in this game together, you can have west of the Mississippi, and I'm gonna take east of the Mississippi. And we gonna do our thing, and we gonna meet in the middle in that playoff. And we're gonna see what happens. And Coach Prime, he also noticed that, okay, in a few years, this playoff is gonna expand. In a few years, some of these teams are going to different conferences. The USCs, the UCLAs, they're gonna be out of the Pac-12. No telling who might join, But those are two less teams that he has to plan for. Two strong programs that you didn't even have to, you know, consider. You just have to deal with the Oregons and the Washingtons and the Utahs, and that he could easily rise to the top, as he's always done. And one thing about it is this: he's gonna wreak havoc recruiting. It's gonna wreak havoc recruiting. Some say that he doesn't really have a relationship in that region. But you know what? The internet don't have a region. Social media don't have a region. That's nationwide. That's worldwide. It's everywhere. So he knows exactly what he's doing in order to leverage his resources in order to influence them to come to Colorado. Because on the one hand, I was sitting here thinking like, Colorado? But then on another hand, if I think a little bit longer, Colorado, go do something different, go see something different. That's one of the things where I ended up going to the school that I went to, I ended up going to Auburn University, graduated, great decision. But I learned some things about Auburn along the way throughout my life. Yes, I have. Yes, I have. Yes, I have. But Coach Prime was the prime opportunity for them to make some changes. Just flip, shake up everything. But you know what? Colorado, they pounced at the opportunity. And you know what? They saw something in each other. The feeling was mutual. They reciprocated with some reciprocity going on with this decision. And it's going to look a little different because I feel like Jackson State fit the persona and the vibe and all of that. But we're going to see how Colorado welcomes Coach Prime and how his style of doing things will transfer into success. Before I go, I had a few notes that I shared with myself that I was planning to do on another podcast episode, but I ended up not doing it. But I'm gonna go ahead and just go through these notes. So these are some of the things that some may not feel like Coach Prime has the power. All right. But this is some things that on the positive side that he genuinely just it's who he is and what he wants to do. Coach genuinely wants to coach college football. Another thing he wants to do, recruit the best talent to the program and get the best out of those players. He wants to also improve players' lives, pour into and develop young men, young Black men. He wants to be an example for Black men, He went to a HBCU, poured into the lives of young African-American players. He's moved up to a Power 5 conference as a head coach, being hired in a Power 5 conference where there are so few. He's continuing to work. He's building up. He's making progress in a lot of different areas. He's securing partnerships. He's nurturing relationships, a lot of things. He improved JSU college program, the SWAC, and HBCU football. He's doing what he can only do and what others can't. He's done what he can only do and what others can't. But JSU, SWAC, HBCU football, all of that, you have to continue to build on it. One thing about it, he did what he could do. He's doing what he does. All we gotta do is go out and do what we can do, because we know our name. We gotta know who we are. I know who I am. I know what I'm capable of, what I'm focusing on doing. He wants to promote positivity and excellence. He's done that. Greatness, excitement, fun, confidence, pride, promote a high quality product, high quality skill sets. Where he is, he has nothing to lose. They have nothing to lose and everything in the game. He revolutionizing, he's revitalizing. Some of these schools in these Power 5 conferences won't allow him to be him. He's too big for them. He's too big for that program, and in their eyes, not a good fit. Some may feel these boosters just feel like they're too rich to see what Prime can do and what he can accomplish. And they believe, firstly, that he wants to do something opposite of what he's really doing. And some people, they got eyes and they just won't see. They got ears and they just won't hear. They can talk, they can speak, but they can't communicate. They got a brain, but they can't think. They got a body, but they can't even take action. They have everything before them, but they still don't know what to do. All right. These are some of the things they feel like he's doing. So some people think that he's just all about himself. He's proven that over and over again. If he was all about himself, he wouldn't allow people access to him the way he does. They may think he just want to promote his brand or promote himself before the team, the school, the organization, or the program, as if he's self-centered or self-absorbed. That's not the case. What he is an open book. He has not changed. He told them he's going to beat up for worry about right now, basically. Do what we do right now. Think about what we're doing right now. We'll worry about tomorrow. He told him, he said, if a Power 5 came, he would entertain it. He would listen and go from there. He didn't say, hey, I'm not leaving. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to be here for X, Y, and Z amount of years. He just said, hey, focus on what we're doing right now, and we'll worry about later. All right. Something that refuse and reject the way he moves. Some just refuse that. They don't like that. The way he does things doesn't fit what they do or what they're used to seeing or what they're used to doing themselves. They're just a creature of habit. They would not allow him to be and do him. He's been given this opportunity, but some people would not give him the opportunity because they would just over criticize and over analyze everything that he's doing. And they're doing it right now. Don't think that it hasn't been done to him before in life. It's not going on right now. And don't think that it's gonna stop. Because think about it, when he left, people in Jackson, people who have awareness and African American community, they felt some people felt some kind of way. Once again, their expectation outweighed their appreciation. And some people just are happily miserable. They just negative about everything. Some people will be quiet when he succeeds, but they're gonna be loud. You ain't gonna be able to shut him up if he losing, if he's failing. This is the way I wrote it. I said people will be quiet when winning or successful, then crucify him when anything negative happens. All right. Some people just think he's just out to recruit new opportunities for himself. Some see that as the move to Colorado is just that, but I don't feel like it's that. I feel like it was a move that he saw as the next step in his coaching career. If you think about it, a lot of these coaching careers, a lot the amount of time these coaches stay at a particular school is 3 to 5 years. If you think about it, 3 to 5. In the words of Coach Prime, you either elevate it or you either terminate it. They elevate and move on to something else. Or if they fail, they get fired, they get run out, and you never hear from them again, or they end up somebody's coordinator or positions coach, or they move down a level. You know, that's just the way it is. 3 to 5. Think about it. It's very few that can hang around longer, and there are very few schools that just allow that, They're just they either just got it like that or they're one of these schools. It's really, as long as you win 8, 9 games, they'll keep you around for so long. You know what I mean? And also the level of competition that they face that kind of factors into that. Um, what else do I have here? I think he's just out to improve his bottom line, but it's the one thing about it. Newsflash, Prime doing just fine. Some don't believe he can improve the team or program. They just don't. They just don't. They just don't believe in his ability to do nor ability to improve as a coach at this level. But you know what? I think he's gonna go from swag to pack, maybe end up in the SEC or the ACC, and he gonna run it. I feel like he's gonna run it. At least that's my hope. That's my aspiration for him. All right. But one thing about it is some just feel like Coach wouldn't grant. Some just would not grant him the freedom to just coach. They wouldn't allow him to conduct business on the field and in the locker room with his players on field like this is the last thing he is there to do. And some people, let me just keep it simple. Some people just don't like you. When you the guy, when you the man, when you the one, when you prime, when you prime time, when you the primary, some people just don't like that. They can't stand it. When you're gifted, when you're blessed, some people just don't like it. Just don't. It's just a kill them to allow that person's presence. But I heard Coach Brown say this. I think he said, don't let my confidence. I can't remember how he said it. Basically, don't let my confidence offend your insecurity. Yeah. Because he should have been at FSU when they had the opportunity. He should have been at Auburn when they had the opportunity. But now he's at Colorado. All right. So I feel as though they have more to lose than the game if Prime was given that opportunity. They just can't see it. But you know what? They're gonna be just fine failing or just fine in mediocrity. They'll be okay. But in closing, I wish them the best and nothing but success. Just keep going, keep moving, keep growing, keep going, keep growing. Because there's not too often that people can do things to the level he's done. Think about it. Jordan played basketball and attempted to play baseball. He played, but he wasn't great at it. you know. The only other player that I know that was great at both baseball and another sport, Bo Jackson, Deion Sanders. There's some other athletes that have played multiple sports, but hey, none of them were able to do it like those two. And then Bo got injured. Prime stayed healthy. He had a lengthy career in both. And then on top of that, there's very rare that you have these same athletes that are gifted that can transition into being great coaches or even are given the opportunity to do so. Because I know some greats just don't have the patience. Some greats just can't explain it for someone to get it in order to apply it and be successful at it. Just can't. So that says something about his mindset, his brilliance, his ability to communicate, his patience. That's something, because I know some people can do things, but they cannot tell someone else how to do it. Some people can motivate themselves, but they cannot motivate others. Some people can carry out tasks and objectives and meet goals and standards, but they can't lead. His ability is limitless. His ability is, he built different. As my great friend Ronaldo said, man, Coach Prime just built different. So if you don't get it, you just ain't gonna never get it. But that's fine. That is okay. But just always remember, everybody has a path in life. Everybody leaves impressions. Everybody makes a name for yourself. This is What's Your Name? WYN. Remember, you got 3 names in life: the name you were given, the name you are called, and the name you make for yourself. We know his name. We know his name. Deion Sanders, Prime, Prime Time, Neon Deion, Coach Prime, GOAT, Hall of Famer, Super Bowl champion, back-to-back SWAC champion. He got a lot of names. He got a lot of names. I don't know what to tell you. If you don't get it, you just don't want to get it. But remember those 3 names: the name you're called, or the name you're given, the name you're called, and the name you make for yourself. All of them are important, but what name are you making for yourself? Think about that. Have a good night.